Hello, dear participants. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome to IGP. Today, our webinar name is Innovation Strategies in the New Normal. I am Kamrul from Bangladesh. I am not a professional host. Today, we have two speakers from Philippines. Let's invite our first speaker, Sarjet Roy from Philippines. Hello, sir.
Thank you po.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Welcome to Institute of Global Professionals, sir.
Yes, sir. We can start now.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Huy!
Sir, are you okay?
Hello, sir. I'm just having difficulty with the technicality here. So,
So please open your camera.
yes, sir. I'm opening my camera. However, I'm having difficulty with the technicalities like the log device. Yes, sir. My camera is opened here po, sir.
Sorry, participants. Maybe our speaker face in network issue. Let's introduce our second speaker. He is from Philippines. Hello, sir. Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir. You can start your presentation.
Yes. So, hello, good morning. Good morning to all the viewers. Good morning to all the participants, and good morning to all the people behind the Institute of Global Professionals. And I am very much thankful to be here today, sharing with you a very relevant topic It is very relevant in my country, in my school, and I believe it is also relevant to your country and in your school as it is very timely topic. So today, we will be talking about innovation strategies in the new normal. So allow me to introduce myself to you. I am Manrik D. Turla from the Philippines. I am a public school teacher, and I was once an island school teacher. I taught in an island school for a year, and that was my first year of teaching in the public school. And teaching in the island school is very inspiring and very motivating, as I can see the situation there, and I see how the learners really wanted to learn despite their area is remote. So I was inspired to develop a curriculum that would best fit my learners' needs, cultural background, their gender, and their context, their current situation. So I am very much into curriculum development, and I would really want to become a curriculum developer. So right now I am teaching in a secondary school in Olongapo City in the Philippines. So I am teaching language. I am currently teaching language, and our topic, innovation strategies, is one of the the things I learned while teaching in a secondary public school in the Philippines. So allow me to share with you my knowledge and experience about doing innovation strategies. So our lecture targets for today include innovation, innovation in education, and the four dimensions of innovation in education, innovation strategies in the new normal. So innovation is never a new thing to us educators, because we've been innovating things in our curriculum. We've been innovating teaching strategies in our classroom, and we are very much into innovation. So this is not a new word, I believe. So according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, of course, when we speak of innovation, it means a new idea, method, or device, and it has novelty, something new. And another definition, it is an introduction of something new, something that is fresh. But it doesn't mean that it comes from a thin air or it comes from nothing. No. Later on, we will discuss how that is. So, innovation in education. Innovation in education is about more than new technology. Many people and educators believe that innovation is just about technology, the technologization and digitization of things in the classroom or things in the education system. But it is more than that. It is not always about technology, though big part of it is really about technology and digitization. But do not think that when we speak of innovation, it is solely about technologization. So it's about solving a real problem in a fresh, simple way to promote equity and improve learning. So it doesn't mean you are going to develop something new. You may have a combination of existing innovation and combine it together to have something fresh. Okay. And when we speak of something new, it may be old in other parts of the world or in other schools. The innovation is something old or that is already pre-existing. But then when it is applied to a particular school with a different problem, with a different context, with students or with people with different needs, culture, and background, so that becomes new in that particular place, but it doesn't mean it is new to other place. So later on we will expound that concept. So still according to UNICEF, innovation in education comes in many forms. It could be programs, services, processes, products, and partnerships that can all enhance education outcomes in innovative ways. So that is innovation in education. So what are these in education. It could be programs. Let's say, for example, in the Philippines, we have the special program for foreign language. So that is an innovation in education. So apart from the basic education curriculum, we have this special program in foreign language teaching students who are inclined to learning different languages. So that is one of the innovations. And another example of program innovation is an innovation that would cater students who are inclined in sports. That is why in the Philippines we have special program in sports, the SPS. Also for students who are inclined in arts, singing, dancing, and acting, we have SPA or the special program in the arts, and many more programs that would cater different needs of the students. Those are uh, program innovations in education. Also, services. So, an innovation in education could be in a form of service. Before enrollment in my country, in the Philippines, is done face to face in most of the schools. But then, because of innovation, we integrated the use of technology. It could be done through QR codes, through Google Forms, and other online platforms like that to improve the delivery of the enrollment service. And let's say the medical consultation service could already be done online. So that is an example of innovation or services innovation. How about the processes? uh, just like same example in enrollment process. Before it is done face to face, but now because of we innovated, it could be done online. And other processes, like let's say for example meeting with the parents, it could be done online now because of innovation in education. Products, innovation in education or in a form of product. How is that? So it could be in a form of school manual, school products as part of income generating projects. Let's say for example as the school is selling a product that is made by the students for income generating to support a program or a school project. So another product is a training seminar designed by the teachers or the faculty of the school that is recognized by the Department of Education that could be implemented in other schools. So those are examples of product. And partnerships. One great example of innovation in education as a form of in a form of partnership is that in our country we have the sci- uh, spe- um, special program, which is the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or the STEM curriculum. So we establish partnership with the Department of Science and Technology. They give trainings to teachers, they give trainings and lectures to students, and the curriculum, the processes being implemented to that particular curriculum is aligned with the Department of Science and Technology. So that is an example of partnerships. And another example, innovation in education, like shipbuilding companies, engineering companies, and other companies are supporting students uh, in college or in high school so that they can finish their studies. And after that, they are going to absorb these students in their company after graduation or after completion of the course. So those are examples of innovation in education in a form of partnership. And all these programs, services, processes, products, and partnerships can all enhance education outcomes in innovative ways. So these are something new. So innovation in education, as further defined by Northwest Missouri State University, uh, it encourages teachers and students to explore, research, and use all the tools to uncover something new. It involves a different way of looking at problems and solving them. So, different schools have different problems, different countries have different problems when it comes to education. And the way we address it and developing something new or new ways to address those problems is a form of innovation and in education. So the thinking process that goes into to it will help students develop their creativity and their problem solving skills. So the focus of this definition by Northwest Missouri State University is that innovation in education benefits learners in general, or at the end of every innovation in education, the target beneficiary are the learners. So, according to SDAL in 2017, innovation in education is doing things in new way. New way, but it doesn't mean new things. It could be an existing thing, but you are using it in a new way. You have a different process or procedure or methodologies. To do something differently requires coming up with approach, process, product, or strategy. So that is innovation in education. So there are four dimensions of innovation in education according to EDSAL in 2017, and we are going to discuss it briefly before we move on to the focus of our discussion, which is the innovation strategies. So the four dimensions include: what is the extent of awareness for the dimension one? Then for dimension two, has the new or that something innovative ever been done before? And then dimension three, is the school itself new? Dimension four, who initiates the new? Okay, so to discuss it in a simpler sense, let's have the four dimensions of innovation. To start with dimension one, what is the extent of newness of that innovation? So there are two types. First is the fundamental redesign, means adopting drastically different designs for learning. So when we speak of drastically, that is very extreme. Let's say, for example, the use of iPad in learning interactive math. So that is very drastic, because we are trying to adapt or redesign a learning process drastically. So the use of iPad in in interactive math. So the learners adapt as they go through the process. So that is the fundamental design. Type B of dimension one is the incremental improvement. So this means making adjustments or tweaks at the margins without fundamentally changing the design of school. When a while ago in type A, when we speak of fundamental redesign, we are changing the whole design. But then in incremental improvement, we are just trying to change something. Let's say, for example, the use of iPad in reading a traditional book or a textbook. So still, the process is reading the textbook or a traditional textbook, but then we just adjust some tweaks. We included the use of iPad. Unlike in the fundamental redesign, using iPad in interactive math. So they are both extremes, the use of technology and the use of something that is extreme, like the interactive math. So that is part of the dimension one. Now let us have the dimension two. Has the new, or has that innovation ever been done before? So we have two types again. Type A, invention. This means creating new designs from scratch, but it doesn't mean when we speak of scratch, it doesn't mean coming out from a thin air. Meaning to say, you are designing it from scratch, from something that is existing, but then you are going to invent something higher. Okay, so innovation as invention means new anywhere. So allow me to discuss it further. When we say invention, it could be combination of two existing innovations. Okay, so you are going to invent something new by combining two existing innovations. So that is invention. And it it is something new in my school, something new in my country, something new in your school, and something new in your country. New anywhere. Okay? So, and that is different with the type B, which is the replication. Because this replication is a process of it's spreading the inventions. You are sharing what you have invented already, which were once uniquely new and different to another school. So innovation as replication means new here. Let's say, for example, we are already implementing the special program in foreign language in the Philippines. And before it is something new, but then it's no longer new in my country. So it is already existing. But then you try to replicate, you try to adapt it in your country or in your school. So that would be something new there in your school. Or let's say, for example, you have an innovation that you've already implemented in your school, and we are going to implement it in our school. So that is something new here in my school, in my context, in my country, but it doesn't mean it is new to anywhere, because it is already existing to your school or to your or in your country. So that is invention and replication. Then the third dimension is the school itself new. Okay, so we have two types, creation and adoption. So when we speak of creation, it means implementing a new design in a totally new school or program. So let's say, for example, um, the Department of Education in the Philippines decided to build a new school specifically designed for the handicapped. So that is creation. So, and that is different with the type B, the adoption, because it is about converting or refining design characteristics in an existing school or program. Let's say, for example, let's take again special curriculum for handicapped. So the school is already existing, it has its own curriculum, but then they are going to integrate something new. uh, they are going to integrate another curriculum specifically for the handicapped. Okay, but it doesn't mean the school is new, they are just adding up something new, or a new curriculum or a new program in their school. So that is adoption. Then the last dimension, who initiates the new? Who are the persons behind? Who will be implementing it, or who will be designing it? So type A, people at the working level create designs based on the individual needs of the students those designs will serve. Let's say, for example, in my school, the faculty members, or let's say, for example, let's take it more particular. In the language department in my school, we designed a curriculum since we are secondary school. Let's say, for example, we designed a special curriculum for students who are classified as beginning readers. Let's say, for example, they are already in secondary school, but then their reading level is classified as beginning readers. So the language department, the faculty in the language department, decided to design a curriculum to address that specific problem. So who are the people working? Those who are inside the department, or those who are inside the school. Who will be implementing? We will be implementing. As we designed, we will be implementing it. So that's the type A, people at the working level. Unlike type B, people in outside support roles who either recruit people to implement those new designs or pass them on to people already working in schools. Let's say, for example, there is no existing problem in our school when it comes to reading. But then the language department in our school decided to design a special curriculum for secondary students who are classified as beginning readers. But then we do not have those students. So we are going to ask another school if they have that scenario, or if they have students who are classified as beginning readers. We are going to ask them to implement what we designed. So that is people in outside support roles. Or it could be the other way around. Other teachers or other faculty and curriculum designers from different schools could ask us to implement what innovation in education they have designed, or what program and curriculum they have designed. So that's it. So going back, so we have four dimensions in education. What is the extent of newness? And has the new ever been done before? Is the school itself new? Or who initiates the new? So those are the four dimensions. Now, so let's go back to what Esdal said. Lars Edsal, the executive director of Education Evolving, in his article in Education Week published in 2017, he said innovation education is doing things in a new way. To do something differently requires coming up with an approach, process, product, or strategy. So to innovate, there must be a strategy. So we should have a strategy. So how so then therefore we should have innovation strategy. Okay? So but let us first establish a background about the new normal and why we have to innovate, or and why do we have to learn innovation strategies in the new normal. So for the past 2 years, we've been reading, we've been hearing or watching news articles and studies about the pandemic. So it's been, I guess, more than or over 2 years now, and that pandemic led us to this term new normal. So it ushers a new normal in which digitization enforces ways of working and learning. So the pandemic led to the shutting down of different schools, and to address those problems, we have to use online platforms, and we have to digitize our ways of teaching. So it forces education further into technologization, a development already well underway, fueled by commercialism and the reigning market ideology. So Daniel in 2020 notes that many institutions had plans to make greater use of technology in teaching, but the outbreak of COVID-19 has meant that changes intended to occur over months or years had to be implemented in few days. So there is immediacy. Okay, innovation, as I've said earlier, is not a term that is new to us. Okay, so schools around the world have been innovating. Okay, and innovation varies from school to school or from country to country. We innovate based on our needs, based on the cultural background of our students or of the people in our school, by the gender beliefs and many more. So it varies from school to school, but there are two things in common. Innovation around the world requires digitization and technologization, and I believe all schools are underway. I mean, they are already planning it. All schools have plans of digitizing their education or applying technology in education or the way they deliver the teaching and learning process. So we are underway. We have plans, but those plans are set for months, years, or decades to come, depending on the situation of in your country. But then because of COVID-19, there is immediacy. Those plans should be implemented in a few days or as much as possible now. Let's say, for example, let's take a school in the Philippines. A school in the Philippines that is already planning to have an advanced way of teaching and learning by doing online classes. Okay, so they have their time frame, but then because of COVID-19, the time frame was adjusted, and it has to happen now. It has to happen right away. There is immediacy. So that is the context of new normal. We apply digitization and technologization right away, okay, or as soon as possible. So then we should have strategy. Since we are in the new normal, we have to strategize on how we are going to innovate, or how we are going to design innovations in education, because what we have designed before, or what innovations that are existing before, could no longer be effective in the context of new normal. So in order to innovate, we have to strategize, and a strategy, according to Oxford Languages, a strategy is a plan of action or policy that's designed to achieve a major or overall aim. So relating it to innovation, when we speak of innovation strategy, a plan of action, take note of action or policy. designed to achieve a major or overall aim of bringing innovation. So this is where I would like to establish a difference. Okay, our focus in our lecture is innovation strategy, how we are going to innovate, and not innovative strategies like innovative teaching strategies or the strategies we use in teaching. No, it's not like that. Our topic is innovation strategy. How or ways on how we are going to innovate. Okay? So, in the new normal, of course. So, innovation strategy in the new normal, uh, this refers to plan of action or policy designed to achieve a major or overall aim of applying innovations in education in the context, of course, of the new normal to bridge gaps and address challenges. So we should have a strategy. And let's have these 14 strategies I designed based on my studies, based on my experiences, and based on the actual situations happening in my country and in my school, and based on the news. So I tried to design 14 strategies, or I mean, I tried to design a strategy which consists of 14 processes or procedures in order to innovate. So first, we have identified the problem. Uh, in order to innovate, we should first know what is the problem, because we have, as I've said, we have different problems. Your school has different problem. My school has different problem. In my country, the education in the education system in my country has its own problem, and you have yours. Okay, your own problems there. So we have to identify problem. So then we have be clear with the objectives, identify areas to innovate, determine the type of innovation. So number 5, list existing innovations. 6, single out what works best. Then invent something from what's existing. So 8, adapt something from others. 9, formulate implementation procedures. 10, set a time frame. 11, target people or the working group and beneficiaries. Monitor implementation. 13, evaluate results or review your objectives. Then 14, share your results. In your country or in your school, uh, you may follow all these 14, or you just choose appropriate steps. Let's say, for example, you identify the problem, then you jump to number 4, or you jump to number 2, you be clear with your objectives, then jump to number 4, determine the type of innovation you are going to use. And then you can jump to number 8, formulate implementation procedures. Then jump to number 12, monitor implementation. Then 14, share your results. So it varies depending on the needs in your school or how diverse your learners in your school. And or you identify the problem, you set your objectives, then you try to list existing innovations. Then from the existing innovations, you single out what works best, and then you target the people who will be working, or of course you have to formulate the procedures first, then target the people who will be working and who will be the beneficiaries, then you evaluate the results and share results. So this is just a general procedure or a general strategy, but then you can still strategize by your own. You may choose specific procedures which you think are already enough in your context or in your country or school. So let's discuss it one by one. So innovation strategies, first, number 1, identify the problem. Of course, you should have a baseline data. Why are you going to innovate? What's the problem you would like to target? Okay, then are these problems about the programs in your school or in your country? No. Okay. Let's say, for example, I have a problem with my learners are very much inclined in arts and they are good in dancing. They are good in, but then There is no program in our school to cater their needs or to suit their interest and their inclination. So that is your problem. So what are you going to do next? Of course, if you have already identified the problem, you try to set your objectives. So what would you want to happen? Okay, let's say right now you want what you want to happen. I want to have a program in our school that will cater the needs or that will suit the inclination of my students in arts. Something like that. We should always be clear with our objectives. So number three, identify areas to innovate. Again, let's identify the areas to innovate. Is it a product, a process, a program, or a procedure, or a service in our school? Where where is innovation needed? Okay, so determine that for number four, part of the strategy, determine the type of innovation. So will you what innovation will you use? Will you be needing the use of technology? Will you be needing a curriculum review or revisit? Will you be needing to change something in your products or services? So, what type of innovation? Okay, and it's best for you to review the four dimensions of innovation. So number five, list existing innovations. What are the already existing innovations in our school or in my country when it comes to this specific problem? Okay. So or what are other existing innovations in other countries that may be used in this specific context or problem in my school or in my country? Then after listing existing innovations, there is a need to single out what works best. Okay, so among these existing innovations, what works best? And then after that, you decide. So if this works best, and if this works best, what will I do? Okay, so you may invent something from what's already existing. Okay, a while ago you listed existing innovations in education that is which you think are are effective or are related with the problem you encounter in your school or in your country, then you were able to single out what among those innovation innovations work best, and then you may invent. So a while ago we discussed invention does not only mean coming out from thin air or from something from nothing. So you may invent something by combining two innovations that work best in other school or in other country. So you try to invent something new. So for number eight, you may adapt from others. You may replicate. So I read in an article that this innovation works best to students who are classified as beginning readers. So let's try to adapt this. Let's try to replicate this. So as simple as that. So you strategize. It depends on you. You may invent or you may adopt something from others. Then number nine, formulate implementation procedures. So how are you going to implement? So again, this is part of the strategy. You strategize how you are going to implement. What are the steps? What are the processes? Will this be needing a funding? Will this be needing experts from the field, human resources, like that? Then number 10, you set a time frame. How long can I implement it immediately? So, or when should I implement this? So you should have a time frame, of course. So, and that is good strategy also when you have your time frame. So Number 11, you target people or the working group and beneficiaries who will be designing this innovation, who will, or let's say, for example, you decided to create a new program or a new curriculum in your school. You target people who will be doing, will the mathematics department be working on it? Will the science and technology engineering mathematics department will be working on it? Or the language department? You identify, and who are your target beneficiaries? Well, will your beneficiaries be the secondary students who are classified as beginning readers? Will your target beneficiaries be students, mathematics students who have problem in their computational skills or in their numeracy skills, or a student enrolled in science, technology, engineering, mathematics curriculum that is struggling in calculus or in pre-calculus, something like that. So you have to target people, and this is also related uh, to setting your objectives. So you target the people. So another way to strategize, or part of innovation strategies, is to monitor the implementation. Okay, you decided to innovate your services. So you monitor your implementation. So you should have a monitoring tool, or you should have at least a journal on what is going on. So better to monitor so you could keep track of the implementation process. So, and of course, your monitoring results or the data in your monitoring could lead to the evaluation results, or you should evaluate the results and review the objectives if you have achieved the objectives you set. Okay, so that is one good way of uh, strategizing, or one part of innovation strategies. You should always evaluate the results of your innovation. Then lastly, we have share your results. So you may publish a research about it for a larger audience, or a larger group of professionals to access the results of your innovation. So they can also replicate or adapt from your results. If you have proven, let's say for example, that your innovation is effective in addressing problems in reading, then other schools, other countries may adapt or may replicate your innovation, or they may integrate it to other innovations that work in addressing the reading problems, so they can invent their own. So it is always important, and it's always good to have the culture of sharing. So professionals should share results. So that would be the end of my topic, I guess, this innovation strategies. So I hope you learned something. So if you have questions later, I'm going to address your questions in the Q&A. So again, this has been Marig del Mundo Turla, and I'm guided with Proverbs 6:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I hope our participants learn more from you. Thank you, sir. Dear participant, today we have no question competition. So we move for Q&A. After Q&A, we move for certification process. Thank you. Hello, sir.
Hello, I'm back. So I'm ready to answer your questions.
Thank you, sir. Dear participant, if you have any question, please share your question in comment box.
Hello, dear participants. I am ready to answer your questions, and I am also ready to learn from your sharings. You may share or add an additional information if you have.
Sir, our first question: what are the areas that we need most to innovate at present to give our learners quality, relevant, and liberating education?
Okay. Okay. So thank you, for, Sir Lamberto Pilatan Jr. So to answer your question, I believe this is my personal opinion based on my observations and experience. The area that we have to consider most in innovating is the area of the curriculum. As teachers, we can do it by our own level by contextualizing and localizing our lessons. So contextualization and localization, as we all know, are great forms of innovation. So we have to target the level of the learners so that we may be able to bring education or quality education closer to their level. So still the answer is contextualization and localization, sir. So that area is on the curriculum.
Thank you, sir.
So I hope, Sir Lamberto, I answered your question or it satisfied your query. So if you have follow-up question po.
Dear participant, if you have any question, please comment in comment box.
So to add an information to that, if we are teachers, so it's best to innovate the curriculum so that we could address the curriculum at the students level again by contextualizing and localizing the subject matter or the strategies that we are going to use. But then if we are educational leaders, let's say, or managers, we are managing our school, it's best also to innovate on areas like training for teachers on how to contextualize and localize. We've been doing that in the Philippines. Or when we speak of contextualization and localization, it means we are bringing closer the content to our learners level and in their context, in their area or in their situation or in their place, like that. So but if we are educational leaders and managers, I think it's best to innovate training programs both for teachers and students, particularly on that matter, contextualization and localization. Still,
Again, our question for Lamberto: is integration a means or way of innovation strategy in the new normal?
Sir Lamberto Pilatan Jr., again, thank you for your follow-up question. Yes, sir. Integration is one form of innovation strategy po in the new normal. So it goes with the invention. When we invent innovation strategy po, it could either combine two existing innovation or integrate an existing innovation to a current program po. So yes po, the answer is yes.
Thank you, sir. Our third question is, how about sir for non-teaching? What can you suggest for innovation areas?
I like this question. Thank you so much, Ma'am. I can't pronounce. Is this Niaden? Niaden. Okay, so ma'am, so to answer your question, I like this question, no, because I did not discuss it very much a while ago. So for non-teaching, I guess you have to innovate your services. Let's say, for example, you are a registrar. How can you innovate your services? Let's say, for example, you could have a kiosk. You try to have a kiosk where students or parents can request forms and certifications from the kiosk, and that will be sent to your system, so you could process their request immediately. So if you're thinking that this is highly technical, I guess you can use Google Form. So Google Form for the processing of their request. You just have to have an extra computer or a tablet, and you should have a kiosk, something like that, and place it outside the school or somewhere in school where the parents and students could access, so that anytime they could access it and process their request, and the request will be sent to you in your system or in your email, and you can start processing their request. So that is when you are a registrar, or in the Philippines when you are the planning officer or the learning information system officer. So I'd like to know, ma'am, ayan, so we have
Thank you,
Ma'am
sir.
Maria Teresa Yambao.
Our fourth question is, hello, sir Mandy. You mentioned dimension 4. Is this existing nowadays?
Okay, Ma'am Maria Teresa Yambao, the research was, the article was shared by Sir Edsal in 2017. So, and if we are going to analyze it and dissect the contents of the dimension, yes, it is still existing nowadays, and even in the new normal. So these dimensions are something that is existing before, and it's still true in the present, especially in the new normal po. So we can use those dimensions as guide as we innovate and as we strategize on how we are going to innovate in our schools.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions from the participants po?
Thank you, sir Mandy, for giving us such a wonderful webinar. I hope our participants learned a lot from you. Thank you, sir.
Welcome po.
Dear participant, please note, dear learners, we saw that at this time you feel difficulty with using the website. We notice all the thing and working on it, which is not out of line but still our technical team working on it. Thanks for your participation. For the certificate, please collect the certification link and certification code at this moment and try it in your free time. We saw that it occurs when lots of users want to join our website. This is a temporary problem with our hosting provider. Thanks again for your patience. Thank you, participants.